Hi, everybody, and we're back with our newest episode of Pagan World, Pagan World Radio. Today, we're going to talk about Pagan World citizenship. What does it mean? What does it do? And why would you possibly want to be a member of the Pagan World Citizens? And today, you're with me, Ed,
And Mary.
and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk all about the idea of where the community is going. And I'm very excited about this project. And Mary is the manager right for me doing this. She is the poor soul that has gotten herself recruited into that position voluntarily. Um, but in truth, it's a very important position. I'm really grateful. So we are building on a platform. It's taken a while to get here, from almost a year and a half. If you want to know, it's been more than a year and a half since we really got started on this project, and we're now finally bringing it to bear. So Pagan World, it's a lot of things. But the first thing we're going to tell you today is one of the ideas of it, where it has heart, is Witch Fox, Witch's Voice, which we should honor, who served an admirably long time from 1998 to 2019. And they think they did a great job. But the site's gone, and now we have lots of different ways to connect, but people want to connect. And so we're trying to create a very powerful center where people can connect all over the world locally. Everybody says think globally, act locally. Well, Pagan World acts globally, but it too thinks locally. Can you talk a little bit about that, Mary? Can you talk about what's already happened?
Okay, well, we do have the site up and running now. We have a little over 450 members now. We have sponsors and vendors who are advertising with us. It is a great place to advertise to reach your pagan audience. That's one thing I really want to emphasize. We are building the platform for the metaverse for pagans. This is a site built by pagans for pagans. We all know we've had issues with pagan services on other platforms where they didn't understand us and didn't understand our services. So we are building a platform for us. We're not going to have issues offering readings through Pagan.World, etc. So this is going to be the place to meet other pagans, network with other pagans, offer your services, and build community. That is what has always been near and dear to my heart, is building pagan community, which can be done locally. There are ways to connect with groups in your local community or connect by groups for wider interests globally, whatever you need to do.
And one of the things I think people are hoping to see, there's going to be a lot of tools available and more tools coming. So it's very interesting because people talk about what I've done. I mean, I did the Daily Spell, which we recently closed because of the time needed for this project. And we want to welcome anyone who's coming over from that spot. That was like 98, and that led to Witch School, which is a global institution that went from 2 lessons and out to now 200 classes, more or less, and clergy training and all sorts of different things. But I'm not here to talk about Witch School, but the success of the Witch School. But we are offering it for Pagan World citizens, for those people who are willing to take the chance. We're making you the exact same offer 20 years ago we made at Witch School, which is you can get a one-time fee, $29.99, and you can join Pagan World as a citizen and be accessed for a lifetime. And how long does that last? Well, Witch School's been going on for over 20 years. And so there you go. So that's a big promise that we've made. And from it, one of the things I've learned through these small fees, it helps us keep the site going, because it doesn't cost us a lot to keep the site going, but it has a definite continuous cost. And that is what normally has killed a lot of the various projects, is the long-term maintenance of the site, not the upfront costs. Everybody's willing to volunteer at the beginning, But as the site grows and builds and becomes more engaged, and which Wood School has done, we've been able to continue building that site. But it was started out with these $29.99 membership. It doesn't stay there. Of course, we're not. We're going to charge subscriptions, things like that later, and other services. But right now, the people who get the best offer are the ones who are going to take a chance with us today. And so one of the things I see is that you have Nashville Pagan Pride available on there, and Nashville as a whole. And I think one of the nice things about it is you've been putting up announcements. You can put up events. Can you talk a little bit about Nashville Pagan Pride, and how you're doing this?
Well, I've been one of the coordinators for Nashville Pagan Pride Day for going on 11 years now. And when we were doing virtually, we ran it through Pagan.World virtually last year. We are live this year, although we will be broadcasting some content through Pagan.World still, because we want to be able to make our workshops available to people who aren't able to join us in the park in person. We've got the event up. We'll be posting our first fundraiser event on Pagan.World in the next day or so, once some final details are worked out. We also have a Nashville Pagan Pride Day group up where we are putting up more information as the planning goes on about our vendors and our presenters. We will be Saturday, October the 1st at Two Rivers Park in Nashville, Tennessee. If anyone's interested in coming, we'd love to have you. And it is a great way to present your events to the wider pagan community. Any member of Pagan.World can create an event. You go to the events tab and just follow the prompts for either an online or a in-person event. And we would love to have all our members start posting the events. The more, the merrier. But it's a very effective tool for communicating.
And we actually have a lot of space beyond that. One of the things you'll see on Pagan.World is the social broadcasting bar. It is one of the things that makes this a real game changer. Now, people are going to, oh, I see those all the time. And that is the bars across the top, which has Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram, and it's going to add more buttons. And you can share your stuff from Pagan.World onto any other page. But you can do that with anybody else's site. What is important to what we can do, social broadcasting wise, Pagan.World maintains a number of pages, over 30 pages that we maintain in one form or another and expanding, plus accounts on all sorts of different social platforms, because we are into the metaverse here, is that we can share it and others can share it. So we can share as a community and build keyword systems, which I am very strangely good at. And people ask, why is this important? The more positive energy, the more positive concentration, the more positive number of keywords and SEOs. And I'll explain more of this in more in depth to people who become pagan citizens, because I will be teaching a course on how to be a pagan influencer to our citizens. And that'll be one of the benefits of becoming a membership right now. And I'm going to start doing that this weekend at the National Association of Broadcasters. We're going to have some of that fun. But we give you, and we are able to bring tools together, because the more people who use the tools, the more people who buy into tools, the cheaper the tools become per individual. That's how we can afford to do things, starting out with just $29.99, this sort of basic private citizen. Now, you've done a lot. Mary here is the manager. Can you, she's general manager of the world. Can you explain what you think your position is?
Well, Ed is definitely the visionary on the project, and I'm more the nuts and bolts person. So I've done a lot of development on the site, working out how to make the groups happen, for instance. I'm generally the one approving member requests, and I'm checking on the site and making sure nobody is having any issues.
Mhm.
I'm always looking for feedback for what people would like to see happen on the site. If you want something and you don't see it, we'd love to hear about it. And I'm always looking for interesting ways to get content on the site because we want interesting content for pagans. And we would love to have people go ahead and post, for instance, what pagan podcasts or video channels you like listing. We had posted that in the forums recently. And we'd love to have people go and answer those questions so we can look at getting those listed. We do have a page where we are listing pagan podcasts and pagan YouTube channels. So we are looking at building a resource for the pagan community, a one-stop shopping place to go and find information. We've also got, I'm working with some pagan musicians. We're working at getting their videos uploaded on the site. I've got a couple of people doing it now, and I'll be talking to some other people shortly. And we're hoping to have some really good music up on the site. And for any pagan artist interested in targeting a pagan artist, we know algorithms can make it hard to reach your target sometimes. I know that's been an issue. If you post an event on our site, they show up sorted in date order. We can post your videos. We can post the links back to your website, Bandcamp, wherever you are selling your music, and we'd be delighted to help you get that rolling. So please do get in touch with me, maryhawk1968@gmail.com.
Let's use your Pagan.World email. We'll be setting that up soon too, but
Yes, I will be
we're going to continue to expand. So I guess when people ask me about this, so one of the big things, so when we started Witch School, we offered the $29.99. And one of the things that came out of it is that we wanted to do videos. So we became Magic TV. And we were actually broadcast before we were on YouTube on November 11th, 2005. We did the first pagan news site. Now it still exists on YouTube. And I eventually we were going to get back into that. We have the tools and the equipment now. And I don't think people realize how much of a difference. We spent a lot of money and a lot of software time and a lot of energy time to get up on there. But we did. We got up on 2005, November 11th. We were one of the first streamers, video offerers. We were also one of the first streamers back in 2010, 2011 on a thing called Livestream. We're one of the very first prototype. You can still see that on it, but all of that comes in to magic.tv. Magic TV was the first time we used an aberration. You'll see us use other types of things like Pagan.World. We're not tied into the .com world. We exist deeply into cyberspace. But Magic TV now has thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of videos that we've taken to the pagan community. And some of the best of that's going to be curated and come over. And we continue to add to that archive. So as a part of the pagan world citizen movement is that we've got these archives that we need to now start to create a better protection for them and long-term archive systems. That's essential. And that's another thing that we are doing with some of this early money is that we want to buy a room full of hard drives for all practical purposes, spread out all over the country. And that is to preserve information in case something happens to anyone's site. And we want to make that service available on a larger scale so that we can store this data for the long term. And isn't that important? So we do have that Magic TV. So videos we love. We have a lot of experience with them. And we want to add more of them. And if you are already on YouTube, you can go ahead and put your videos, if you're a citizen, onto our system just by putting the YouTube link there. And later on, we'll talk about, I think as we grow, you'll have opportunities to archive your material into a larger system. That's part of the dream of the metaverse. The metaverse is much bigger than we thought. So if you ask me in Magic TV, when everybody's talking about YouTube in 2005 and 2006, we were like one of the very first. Was it worth doing? My answer is, of course, yes. What do you think, Mary?
Oh, it's definitely worth doing.
And then in 2009, now we have been doing radio for a long time. We actually found a whole tape of radio that we're going to make available to people here soon. Yeah, as soon as we get some more, we're going to be presenting them from early time. But starting in 2009, when I learned podcasting or online radio, there was still called online radio, today podcasting, 2009, that we could record and save and distribute podcasts. We did that a lot too. And that's part of this. So we have a lot of just our own, and that's Pagan's Tonight Radio. And what did we do there? We didn't charge anybody any money. We hardly ever got any commercials. But because we charged that $29.99 for Witch School early on, and then we're able to move to a monthly subscription rate, we were able to maintain Pagan's Tonight Radio. We paid for all the costs. We did it. And did we do it for only Corellians? People always ask, oh, didn't you do it for your tradition? Witch School? We did, but we also had all sorts of people. We have an early podcast with Selena Fox, and the early Circle Network, the Sanctuary Network, was hosted by Pagan's Tonight Radio. We have Oberon Zell for 77 episodes that we did. Jason Mankey raised the horns into a show for years out there, who's now become a really talented writer. We have more than 500 different pagan voices on Pagan's Tonight Radio. It is the voice of the pagan world. And now it's going to still continue. This will be on Pagan's Tonight as you're listening. Then we're going to move into Pagan.World news and Pagan.World radio. We want to expand this ability to radio. And if you want a podcast, don't ask how much. Don't ask that. I am asking you only one question. How much time can you give it? Consistency is that. And that's what we are, consistent. So there's other features too. I mean, it's an amazing site. And I think one thing people don't understand is that they're looking at it now and they think that that site is permanent. What they don't know, right, Mary, is you can change that design in 5 minutes if you wanted to. And that's something people are going to be able to do. We're going to change the site. It can be changed. A lot of this site is very automatic. We've got a whole set of tools that allow us to change it. But I want to talk next about one of the best features of this first step, and that is groups. Mary's been doing a lot of work about groups. So I like the macro site, but can you talk about the groups? As people have seen this, like it's a website onto itself, isn't it?
It really is. When you become a citizen, you are able to start your own group on Pagan.World, and a group is your own little microcosm. You can set the permissions any way you want them. You can make it public. You can make it private. Like for my Pagan Pride Day group, it's public. Anyone can find it. Anyone can be a member just by saying they want to join. Anyone can see the files because we're there to promote Nashville Pagan Pride Day. But there are other groups that are more private, where you have to request to join membership and where the files can only be seen by people who have been approved. You can upload video, photographs, audio files, documents within your group, and they cannot be seen outside of the group. And once you start it, you're the administrator of your group, and you can assign permissions to your group, creating other administrators or assigning certain permissions to certain users, whatever suits your purpose, so you can really create your own little space within Pagan.World. And that is yours for $29.99.
And that's a one-time fee. It's not an annual fee. We're just asking for people to help us.
Yeah, that is $29.99 to help us get started and help us keep the lights on.
And I understand one thing about this. One thing it is that a lot of the early money is to buy this set of tools that are easier and cheaper to repair and maintain over time. And we expect vendors and things. This is going to be the first kind of group. We're not asking you not to promote yourself. We're asking you, this is exactly what the job of the site is to promote yourself and to promote others.
Absolutely.
And I know and that's hard for people to do. I mean, even you're Mary here, and I've had a lot of conversation before we started this about what I was trying to do, and it was a very hard concept to get across. It was.
But we want you to use Pagan.World to promote whatever you are doing. Are you doing readings? Do you make jewelry? Do you do candles? You know, do you do Reiki? Whatever merchandise or services you offer, this is the place to promote it to the wider pagan community, whether you want to serve a localized area or whether you're offering services that can go across the internet anywhere.
And it's been interesting because I do know a lot about how search engine optimization, SEO, works, how Google works. I mean, I was there before Google started. People always like that. I was there. I know when Google started. I was usually get like, wow, this new site's good. And when it was buying out the, doing the Yahoo engines and the AOL engines, and they just exploded. And Witchco's been in there ever since it started. We're often placed at number one. We're deeply entrenched into it. And so is Pagans Tonight Radio, so is Magic TV. Other projects I've done, and other people I've helped. I mean, I've helped a lot of people get on there with coaching and things like that, of getting their name deeply into it. So this is a site for connections and commitment and for finding people. This is about connections. And so we've talked a little bit about social broadcasting. What podcasting is social broadcasting. It is the ability to broadcast from peer to peer, from person to person, and have systems in the way instead of the old-fashioned way, gatekeepers. And that means in the old days to get on the radio, and I did this. I was one of the very first people to actually do this. Is that I went my psychic office was a co-working space. Yes, we psychics work earlier than that, and that was back in '91. And we had a lot of great psychics, and one of them brought in Captain Infinitesimal Scott, and he worked for a radio station. He worked in sales and in radio. And he go, oh boy, I need to buy some commercials. And he looked at me very seriously. He says, it's not worth it for you to buy commercials. They're too expensive, and you can't spend enough money. But why don't you take a radio show? I go, what? Brokered radio show. And they charged me $75 an hour. Plus I paid him as a DJ. And we built radio shows. We were the first pagan-owned, pagan-operated radio show, and it started out of the city of Chicago. There had been people who experiment, but we were a regular on-the-air main train station, and we actually went through a couple of stations and a couple of iterations of that. So that's how we started, and I've always been a big believer of it, and that's why we are still in existence, where a lot of groups, a lot of people, and a lot of different ideas changed. I'm still more than 30 years later, still into podcasting, into radio and communication, which goes over 20 years. Pagan's Night Radio, almost 18 years. We're going to celebrate 13 years of that, Pagan's Night Radio. It's always very nostalgic. But what is that? But that has no value today in that broadest sense. The question is, how do we move forward? And one of the things I've learned in all of this in building pagan projects is that people are willing to donate small amounts of money, or more importantly, invest small amounts of money. That's what you do when you invest, to build something. So Witchcool brought in Pagans Tonight Radio, Magic TV, and has done a lot of other things. Helped with CM Broadcasting last year when we were there to help with the Zoom shows. That and all of the festivals that crashed, we were there, through our broadcasting system, through our systems. The Paladins moved in, and we helped a lot of festivals gain some of the money back, did their first of the things. And today, the world's changed because of it. That change is essential. I think we're about to do it again. We can do it again for the next Web 3.0. Because you mentioned metaverse earlier. People think of that as airy-fairy or far away, or something that you get with Zuckerberg and the big boys and that sort of thing. But you said it so nonchalantly.
Well, to my way of thinking, we can wait for the big boys to create it, or we can make it ourselves. What do you want to do?
And I think that's where we're at. We're riding, so we're surfboarding on the edge of the cutting edge. We're using, we are going to use outside platforms to build because that's what you do. But I don't believe, so a long time ago, I don't know if people have heard it a long time, is I taught a class and even started an agency for a breathtaking moment before I got into the worm business called Love Your Message, Not Your Platform. Love your message, not your platform. And one of the things that you have to understand, I've gone through all of these platforms. I've been through, oh, don't even get me started. I could do it. So I will go. GeoCities, the fastest growing city of the world, one list, e-groups, Yahoo groups, and then they died. We then went into GeoCities and then web pages of all kinds of misdemeanors. And we built our own school because there was not software for a witch school or any type of school out there. And while Phoenix University and all the great universities were beginning their process online, and everybody told us how bad they were, that no one would go on school online. In that day, we built Witch School. And then we built a television studio and we built a radio station. And before that, the Daily Spell for the longest time was a newspaper before they became antiquated. Every step of the career the goddesses led me to is to build physical, real world things into virtual space. And today we have a worldwide network of people capable of hosting expansive rituals, providing almost everyone and anyone airtime, FaceTime, space-time. What do you want to communicate? We've got the tools. Pagan.World is the next step of the web. And for us, I hope, and it is my expectation that at least for me, that it will be there. And we're going to add more and more to it. And then while the site might not look very metaversal, it's got a lot of the features that allow it to build because we're really early in the game. What you saw earlier this year was the first volleys and of who people to get their first steps. And now they're going to grind out the work. And it's going to take some time. But it took a long time. But we are people of time. We are people who have taken these projects and continue it. I have no problem saying I'm going to be working on this for the next 10 years, guaranteed. And if you bought one of our citizen memberships right now, and you lasted, that would be $2.99 a year, less than a penny a day if I last 10 years. So that's your bet. Are we going to make it? We're going to last. Have you ended projects? The Daily Spell's been around since 1998. In a couple of months, it'll be back. But right now, it's on hiatus. Yes, we ended an entire site because it became outdated, antiquated, and we decided this was going to be the site we're going to work on next. So yeah, this is the descendant of the Daily Spell, which was another free service for 13 years, all from that basic beginning of citizenship, of ownership, lifetime memberships in Witch School, Pagan.World citizen in that. So, Mary, how do they sign up for this?
All right. So what you need to do is go to Pagan.World. Is one way you can get there. And you will go to Citizen. Let's see here. We type in. You can also go to paganworld.ning, that's .ning.com. And there is a place in the yellow bar in the middle that says Citizen Special. Click there. It says Citizen Charter Special, buy now. Click on that.
But you need to register for a membership. You can buy a membership for free.
Now this is true. Thank you, Ed. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, it's very exciting.
It is exciting. So yes, the first thing you do is go to Pagan.World and register for a membership, and that gets you a free membership. And then you go to the Citizen Special and you upgrade for $29.99, and that gets you a lifetime membership. where you pay by PayPal,
Mm-hmm.
and you will have full access to our site.
People say, what are you going to get for that? At this moment, you're taking a moment to trust that we're going to build something amazing. I've already said I'm going to start teaching a class on influence that are going to be for citizens only. We'll probably have some classes that are citizens only, but also take heart of the fact that a lot of stuff that we're going to put on the site, 85% of it's going to be for free, because we want people to come and see it. We want them to see your materials. We want to see your stuff. So if you put up a blog, if you put up videos, we want them to see it too. So what are you buying? And this is the essential. You're buying, being a part of the system. You're helping us build this site. And because of that, and this is the last piece you understand, this is what makes it a metaverse project. It's going to take me about 2 years, it looks like, to really build this properly. And this will metamorphosis onto the blockchain to have much more defined ownership. And a lot of the materials that we were talking about bundling for the future are going to be caught in crypto assets. There's a lot of things I can talk about, and I will talk about in detail for the tech heads. But what it will get you, and this is what's important, is you will get a citizens token, irrevocable, as long as you control it. It'll be a solid object, cannot be stolen. We don't know about that completely because this is still experimental. We need to protect them very well. But these tokens will allow you to verify who you are and to be able to vote and to participate in projects across the Pagan World metaverse. Now, like I said, it's going like any building. This is like a skyscraper. It's going to take years to build all of this. But this is a way to buy that token. So when that skyscraper really gets going, you can put your token in and you can go, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, my lord, my lady, whatever you want to say. Yep. Cat, Mr. Cat, Mrs. Cat, the cat. Trust me, you buy a membership for your cat, and it might actually work. We don't know how far the metaverse is going to go. But in making light to it, you'll have a citizenship token, and we're going to form something called a decentralized organization. And it's autonomous, which means we will be able to create things that'll give us a lot more fair, a lot more energy towards creating a more democratic system online. And you can't be there if you're not a part of that. We're not going to give that away for free because we can't. We have to build the infrastructure. But if you make that investment, you can do it. So, well, this has been one of the harder sales pitches I've done for a while, and talking about it, but I think it's important.
It is. This is a chance to be on the ground floor of something that hasn't been done before. So hop on board.
Absolutely.
You're not going to regret it.
Right. And we can help you with a lot of different things. We'll have agency services. We'll have a lot of things. So this will be places for you to interact with other people. And the more minds we have into it, the more people we have involved, the better it will be. Is this a social media site? Not like Facebook, not like TikTok, not like Twitter. We feed those spaces with our content. We deal with those spaces. This is really a mastermind program. This is the core of a community that acts independently and together with the other platforms. And most importantly, what it does allow you to do is to build and protect your own online assets, your own online community, making sure your store works, making sure your community group works, making sure you can not be erased suddenly because of things that happened. We can help you preserve that. It will take time, but that's what we're set to. That's what Pagan.World's all about.
So come and join us.
And thank you everybody for listening and continue on with this process. I think this went well. We'll be talking more about Pagan.World, and next series of shows we're going to have vendors. We're going to do some podcasting with our vendors. We're going to ask them to come on, some of our community members. We're going to keep talking because once as this gets started, we're going to be out there talking a lot, not just a lot, continuously. We're going to make noise so that people can hear, so people can come, and so people can actually participate in Pagan.World. Blessings and have a great day.
Thanks for joining us. Take care now. Peace.